Dear viewers, we have been joined in the studio by our first guest for this evening, Mr. David Botbil, a superintendent from an American school who will be talking to us, of course, about how the school is running and going back to school season. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Mr. David.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. To start off, what is the vision of the school and how are you meeting the expectations?
So at AIS, we are really looking to nurture and offer an education so that our students in Kuwait, whether they be our Kuwaiti population or our expatriate population, we want them to be contributing world citizens.
Right.
We are really working on a daily basis to make sure that our kids are engaged. We just had our first days of school over the last couple of days.
Yes.
And for them to be contributing, we need them to be engaged in the activities that we're offering them throughout the day and throughout the year. There is an element of service that we're really looking for as well. We want our students to actually contribute to both the local Kuwait community, and so we immerse them in activities that help them explore, the world around them.
Yes.
and be really engaged.
It is amazing that you're focusing on them being able to live in Kuwait and even overseas, not just focusing on one thing. How are you able to do that? Because of course you have students from different parts of the world.
That's right, we do. We have over 50 nationalities that are within our school. The majority are Kuwaitis for sure, and we are looking to make sure that the experiences that we're offering our students are helping them to then continue their education later on, post high school, as they move to university. The more that we have them work well and collaborate together, the more that they're going to be prepared to collaborate with those that are different than them.
Right.
We are very conscious as well to support the language of the culture and developing that language.
Right.
We are an English medium environment, like many private schools are here in Kuwait. That Arabic mother tongue language is extremely important because our kids, even though we're preparing them to go be educated, whether in Kuwait or outside of Kuwait after high school, we want them to be able to come back to this region and to Kuwait and thrive both in English and in Arabic. And so from pre-K on through grade 12, we're focusing regularly on developing that bilingual ability.
It's a really important point that you've mentioned because that's not really a big focus of international schools in Kuwait, and I'm glad that you're able to provide that in the school. What are the teaching techniques, or how do students learn in your school? Because you mentioned how you're always preparing them for the future.
Exactly. Actively. We have an active student population. It's important for us to develop student voice. The more kids become passionate about what they're learning about, and the more we develop their natural interests, the more likely we're preparing them for the jobs that they may choose in the future, right? So what does that look like? Mathematics, numeracy instruction is about manipulatives. It's about kids engaging with materials so that they can find solutions on their own and with support from us. If we have an amazing learning commons that contains our library, we want kids to be surrounded by books. We want them to choose the books that are of interest to them as long as they're within the context of Kuwait. The more that we develop student engagement and passion from inside, the more that they're going to give and be ready for that next difficult task. I can't talk enough about how that idea of agency, of students finding their way, but us nurturing that and supporting them as they find their way, how important that is.
Of course.
We're in a changing workplace environment, right? The jobs of the future
always changing.
Are not what they are today.
Yeah.
And it's incumbent upon us. I mean, we have 2,200 students today,
which is a really big amount,
which is a huge responsibility that we've undertaken, but we take it seriously and with honor that we can support that number of students, many of whom will come back to Kuwait in 2035, right? When jobs are a little bit different, but they'll be more prepared for them because we've collaboratively worked together to prepare them for a future that we don't really know yet.
Yes, what I'm really noticing is that you're able to give every student space to evolve and really have their own personality. Because a lot of schools maybe focus on suppressing these and abiding the students by the rules.
I hear you.
So it's great to know that you're giving them space to have their own talents and likes.
Thank you for that. I would say it's also, we want them to read and write in 2 or more languages, right? So we are conscious about the basics of education. Literacy and numeracy are extremely important. We know in Kuwait how much parents and students value the sciences, right? Engineering, mathematics. So we want kids to know some of those basic skills. We want them to experiment though. Like you said, we want them to enjoy as they're learning, you know, our curriculum. There's a word that we're debating right now in the school, and it's in our mission, and it's called rigor. Rigor means that there is a challenging curriculum, right? And that students must persevere to get beyond the difficult content, right? They might be challenged along the way. We honor that challenge. We as adults are challenged, right? And we make mistakes. I'm sure you've made a mistake or two, but we've become who we are because of those mistakes that we've made. Our mission statement, the word in Arabic is al-indibat. And so we've been debating that word that translates directly in English to discipline isn't quite what we're looking for in rigor. It's part of it, but it isn't all of it. And I think that's what I love about our school, is that we've built this collaboration among adults where we can debate education, all to the benefit of our 3-year-olds who are just joining us and our 18-year-olds who are about to leave us at the end of this year.
That's very different age groups, and of course you are able to provide them with the right education for their age. How are you connecting students to the Kuwaiti community?
Right. So we have a new parent group that has formed in the last couple of years. And one of our initiatives, our shared initiatives with this what we call APSG, an AIS parent support group, is to, because our parents are working within the community. We want to celebrate what our working parents, you know, our moms and dads are professionals in the Kuwait community, and they know field trips that are potentially there for students. They know their workplaces and what they might be able to offer our students, especially our young adults, our 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds who might be able to do an internship at some of these workplaces. So we're working collaboratively with our parent group to connect our kids to the community. We can go to the science centers, the beautiful new cultural centers that are available. There are probably some other experiences that our students could take part in that only our parents know about, because they're in their workplaces and they know them. So we're trying to build a bridge between our parent community, our parents' friends and their colleagues and their community that are all in Kuwait, so that our kids, they can experience those workplaces early on to give them hope for the future. The more that they know those workplaces, the more likely they will be inspired by them, and they will work towards them as they leave us, go to university, and then return to Kuwait to make the Kuwaiti future an even better and brighter one.
So you're really preparing your students to be able to come back to the progressing Kuwait and be able to be part of the community, which is amazing. How are you preparing the students to be citizens of Kuwait? As we said, it's always progressing and changing, and every year there's something new and different.
You know, this is a challenge at times in a private school because it is an English medium curriculum. So we do focus every year on what it means to live and thrive in Kuwait. We want them to know about Kuwait history.
Of course.
We want them to understand the culture.
We will come right back to that, of course, but we just need to take a really fast break and we'll be back with Mr. David Bat. Dear viewers, we are back from this short break, and of course we're continuing with Mr. David Botbil, Superintendent at AIS School. Right before we went out to the break, we were talking about how you are able to prepare your students to be citizens of the ever-changing Kuwait.
Right.
Can you talk to us more about that?
And as we know, Kuwait is becoming quite progressive.
Yes.
And you know, my history in Kuwait started in 2003. So I've seen Kuwait change quite a bit over the last 16, 17 years. We at AIS have always embraced technology, and we're using technology to enhance instruction. Technology isn't a replacement for all learning experiences. There's nothing like teachers engaging with students and dialoguing and conversing and writing and reading. Yet we do know that to prepare our kids for the future, we must look at the technologies that are available to us and help them use them appropriately. There's a lot of social media available to kids. That helps us promote our school, promote our athletics, our activities, events, showcase student talent. It can also be used in ways that are not so good, and so we're looking at creating citizens who are utilizing technology in their best way.
Of course.
As we look to the future and our school, it's we need to look at our infrastructure and look at the way our classrooms are organized to better meet new technologies that are on the horizon. Kids can put on glasses now today and they can be in a virtual world.
Right.
We need to embrace that because there's nothing like going on a field trip and seeing a landscape from many, many miles, kilometers away in front of you in a classroom. We know that our science labs of the future will be ones where we're using virtual technology to help our kids understand scientific terminology and dissection, for example. But we cannot forget that it is about the relationships that we're building with kids too, right?
Yes.
And even though we have these technologies and they're all exciting, and we know that our future is going to be about those future technologies, it is about our caring and nurturing demeanor with our kids that are going to help them really remember us and honor the work that we've done with them, so that they're inspired to do that work in their future.
Of course.
We've had a couple of recent events. Being the first days of school, we've had a lot of our alumni come back to school, not just to visit, but because their kids are starting at our school.
Oh, that is amazing. So you're really seeing
So
your
I'm seeing alumni
progress.
who have now come back to our school because of the experience that they've had, and now they're giving that to their children. And there's nothing more special than that, but to see a graduate from 2008 or 2011 come into our school and now have their children educated within our environment. That really tells us that they had a good experience, that they trust us, and that they want their kids to be nurtured and educated in a similar way.
Well, I'll thank you so much for all the information you have provided. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, and I'm pretty sure our audience really had a good time listening to all the information provided. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Dear viewers, we had with us David Botbil, superintendent, and now we'll cut to a report about the bowling championship.
I was so excited to join this tournament because it has been a long time since we played the last tournament. It was an amazing tournament. I wasn't lucky in the singles, but thanks God we got the first place in the double. Thanks for all the organizers and all the sponsors, and thank you.
This is my first time playing bowling sport, and I recommend for you all people to come here to enjoy your time. This place is Kuwait Bowling Federation, so I wish for you all to come here and waste your time. Thank you very much.